Barclay with J-Tech Automotive Technologies. And today we're going to talk about acetylene welding, or welding with oxygen acetylene torches. We're going to go over some safety aspects about this stuff first. That's the first thing you're going to be concerned about. How can you do something safely? Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about the gases that we use to make welding happen. This is an oxygen tank, and it's capable of holding about 3,000 psi pressure. And this gauge right here indicates how much pressure is in the bottle at the moment. This gauge right here indicates what's happening past the regulator when you make an adjustment on it. And to change it, you rotate the regulator in this direction, and you'll see it starting to add pressure to your system. And this way you turn it off. Okay. When you open and close this valve, you want to turn it until it stops and stop there. You don't want to go past the stop. You want to be very gentle with it. When you open this valve, you want to open it all the way. It's a little bit different when you're dealing with your acetylene. Okay, this is your acetylene tank. It has the same kind of gauge setup on it. But when you open the acetylene valve, you only want to crack it open just a little bit until you see the acetylene flowing into your pressure tank. And that's indicating how much pressure is in the tank. And then this is indicating that we actually have none flowing through the line. So when you turn it this way, you can see that we can get it to flow through the line, or flow into the line, and start pressurizing the line. And I'm going to back it off now. And I'm going to close this valve. I'm going to close this valve, and I'm going to talk about some other things. This tip is used for cutting through metal. It has 6 holes on the outside and 1 hole in the middle. The holes on the outside is where the acetylene flows, and the hole on the inside is where the oxygen flows. This is what controls the flow of oxygen through this particular tip. This is a welding tip. Notice it has no other control on it. When you set your heat up to run your welding, it's just basically the 2 controls that are at the end of this wand here. Okay? So basically, when you go to put these tips on and off, to change them, you want to use your hands, no wrenches, when you go to put these on. We're going to leave the welding tip on this one for right now. But you don't want to use wrenches to tighten these up. Okay? Some other things you need to have when you're going to be doing some welding or working with these tools. You need eye protection. And notice it's shaded, okay? That's to help you see your work better when you've got that bright light from the weld working. This is wire brush. You want to use this wire brush to help clean your sheet metal before you start working with the welder, because welding does not like dirt, contaminants, it doesn't like paint, it doesn't like greases or oils. You want to clean all that stuff off, and if you got rust or scale or whatever, you can use a wire brush to help clean your metal before you start welding it or heating it up. This kit right here contains the tools that you need to keep your tips clean. And basically how you use this is a file, and you file it, you file the tip, the face of the tip to get it clean, and you also use these little pins. You find the pin that fits in the hole that you're trying to clean out, and you put it in there, and then you just do it like that to keep it clean. That helps you keep from preventing sparks. And you need this. This is a striker. This is what allows you to light your acetylene on fire, or start your fire. And you must always have a pair of really good welding gloves. Okay, now that I've went through all the equipment that you need in order to do welding with, I'm going to actually show you how to start it, how to fire it up. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have purged your lines of everything that is in them. You don't want any gas in there at all. But actually, you want to make sure you got all your hose out, and you want to think about where you're doing your work at. You want to make sure that you know where that fire is going to go, and it's not going to hit anything you don't want it to hit. Okay, so, and you want to make sure that wherever you're working at, you can view your gauges. So if I'm going to work on this table, I want to make sure that I can see my gauges, just like that. So anyway, how you position things is very, very important. All right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to verify that my valves are closed. I'm closed down my oxygen, closed on my acetylene, and I'm going to add a little bit of pressure here with my oxygen, and then I'm going to open the oxygen and vent it until I got zeros. I don't want anything in there. Then I'm going to secure or close this valve, and when you can feel it, when it starts to compress the spring in here and let the gas go into this line, you can feel where it's starting to resist, and that's when it's starting to push down on the valve to open it. Okay, so right now we have no oxygen. I'm going to shut my oxygen off of my wand here. Okay, that's off. Now I'm going to do the same over here with my acetylene. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to let it out. Now I've got zeros on both gauges. There's no pressure. I'm going to lock this. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to close the acetylene. Okay, now I know all these are off. I know all these are off, and there's no pressure in my lines. Now I want to pressurize my lines and purge the line of any air. Before I do that, though, I want to talk more about the lines. The O2 line, notice this nut is smooth, and notice the acetylene line, which is red, has these notches in it. What that means is the threads in this are left-handed and the threads in this are right-handed. Therefore, you can't get the two lines confused. Okay? And the same with the fittings here at the bottles. The threads on here are right-handed threads, and the threads on here are left-handed threads. So you can't get them confused. You're going to hook the proper line up to the proper side of your wand here. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open our O2 bottle, and we're going to open it all the way. Okay, once you reach the stop, you just stop. You don't try to go past it. These valves are very fragile. They're made out of brass, so you take them easy. This valve here, your acetylene valve, you want to just crack it open until you see pressure on this gauge, and then that makes it good. Okay. Now the next thing you want to do, now for welding and for cutting through metal, the pressures that you use on the regulator side are different. If you're cutting through metal, you have to use higher pressures for your oxygen from your regulated side. Your acetylene will change if you're welding metal that's thicker. Then, the thicker the metal is, the more acetylene you're going to use to go through it. But for the most part, generally a setting of 5 psi on acetylene is good. The oxygen changes though for welding versus cutting through your metal. You want to set your oxygen for 20 psi working pressure on post regulator if you're doing your if you're going to be cutting through metal. if you're going to be welding, you want to use less oxygen. So we're going to go ahead and set our oxygen to 20. And now that we're at 20 psi here, we're going to open up our O2, our oxygen port here, and what this does is it purges the line. It gets the line full of oxygen. So I got nothing but oxygen right up to this valve. I'm going to do the same with the acetylene. I'm going to raise this up to 5 psi on the red gauge. Okay, I'm at 5 psi there. Now I'm going to open up the acetylene, the fuel valve. It says fuel there. Open it up. And now I know I've got nothing. I got acetylene all the way up to this dial right here. Okay. Now this thing is ready to fire. Before I do that, you have the option to put the glasses on now or not. I prefer not to because I want to see the flame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just crack open the fuel valve just a little bit, and then I'm going to stroke it with this sparker. Adjust your flame down. That was way too much gas right there. You see the soot? You want to open it up until the soot goes away. Right about there. You see the nice little feathers in the flames? Right about there is where you want it. And then you dial in your oxygen. You want to get it where you got a nice little cone right there. Now you're ready to use it. To shut it down, cut off the fuel, cut off the oxygen, and then you run through and purge your lines and zero everything back out again. Now when you're working with it, you want to keep your hands free of the gas valves while you're actually using it. And the technique is running around in little circles for welding. Run around in little circles and you'll end up with a pool of molten fluid, and you want to move that molten fluid down your seam. And that's basically how you set up and use the welding tip. A little different with the cutting tip, but anyway, there's some of the basics on welding safety and some of the parts and things that you work with welding. Thank you.